In this video I'm going to show you how to calculate and measure the distance from Sydney to the pole and from the pole to Santiago, and to circumnavigate from Sydney to Santiago. At the end of this video I'm going to show you that it is possible to calculate a straight path from Sydney to Santiago. But I will show you in another video how I did it. Don't forget to check some great retro channels in the descriptions below. Again, the GLEASON'S map is scientifically and practically correct. I had a wonderful discussion with this person on the internet. His name is Hashmal Don, and he wants to know the distance between Sydney, Australia and Santiago de Chile. In the first part of my video we found the coordinates for Sydney, and we're going to do the same for Chile. Let me zoom in and see if we can find Chile. This is Chile, and we need to find Santiago de Chile, is the capital Santiago. Santiago is not written on this map, but there's another city, Valparaiso, and Santiago is west of Valparaiso. So I see a dot, a circle, a very small circle here. So I suppose this is Chile. But for the purpose of our demonstration, we can assume that this is Chile and we'll use it as Chile. In the first part of our video, I show you how to find the coordinates for Sydney. We measured them and we pinpoint Sydney, and we found the location, the coordinates 34 and 151. So let's find out the coordinates for Santiago. We don't really need it to measure the distance from Santiago to Sydney, but for the purpose of our demonstration, let's just measure the coordinates. Let me zoom in. As you can see, Santiago is between two latitude lines. This is 30, between the 30 and the 45, between these two. I hope you can see it, yes. So we have to measure the distance in degree from Santiago to the 30 latitude line. Let me put a marker. So there it is, to pinpoint Santiago. And the first part of the video, I still have my scale. So we're going to measure how many degrees are between Santiago and the latitude line. Well, let's say 3. I hope you can see it. 3 from this small circle to the latitude line. We measured 3 degrees. That's from latitude line. This is the 30 latitude line plus 3 degrees. It's 33 degrees below the equator, minus 33. The latitude is minus 33 west of meridian of Greenwich. Now we're going to measure the longitude line for Santiago, and our marker shows that Santiago is between the longitude 60 and the 75. So Santiago is somewhere in between. So I have my piece of string. I prefer to use dental floss. So let's measure the longitude and let's find out. So I will zoom in later, because first I would like to measure it from the center. Make sure it's on the longitude line. I hope you can see it. Keep it stretched and then move until you reach Santiago. I hope you can see it. It is somewhere between 71.5. Looks like 71.5. I hope you can see it. I will zoom in, but first I have to hold the center with a magnet so I can zoom in for you to see. So I placed a magnet on the pole to hold my string. Can you see it? Yes. Yeah, this is it. I place a magnet to hold my string, and now we're gonna measure. Just check. Oh, yeah, just check if it's on the right spot, on the center, and then move until you reach Santiago. And it's about 5. It's 65, 70, 71.5. Well, for the purpose of our demonstration, we say 71.5. I hope you can see it. It reached Santiago, 71.5. Let me hold this one and move the camera so you can see the magnet. There's my magnet. Dawn's question is to measure the distance between Sydney and Santiago de Chile. We're going to measure the distance from Sydney to the North Pole and from North Pole to Santiago de Chile. And the next one, we're going to measure the distance from Sydney, circumnavigate to Santiago de Chile. In this case, it's going to be easy because we know our coordinates, we know the locations. So the only thing we need to do is to measure how many degrees lies between Sydney and the North Pole, and from the North Pole to Santiago de Chile. We know Sydney is 34, so at the 30 latitude line plus 4 degrees, and Santiago de Chile is on the 30 latitude line plus 3 degrees. So we can measure all the way up to the North Pole for both locations. Sydney. From the North Pole, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 4 degrees. So it's 84 degrees from Sydney to the North Pole. From the North Pole to Santiago de Chile, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 3 degrees. From the North Pole all the latitude lines. This is the equator. From the North Pole, you have 15 degrees, and then 15 degrees, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15, 15. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 15 degrees plus 4 degrees to reach Sydney. Let me put it this way. From the North Pole, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 3 degrees to reach Santiago. It means the distance from Sydney to North Pole, it's 8 times 15 degrees for each latitude line plus 4 degrees to reach Sydney. That equals to 124 degrees times 60 nautical miles makes a total of 7,440 nautical miles. We do the same from the North Pole to Santiago de Chile. The distance is 8 times 15 for the latitude lines. It's 8 times 15 plus 3 to reach Santiago. That makes a total of 123 degrees. Multiply it by 60 nautical miles and you get the real distance. That's 7,380 nautical miles. So the total distance from Sydney to Chile is 7,440 plus, that's the distance from Sydney to the North Pole, plus the distance from the North Pole to Santiago de Chile, and that makes a total of 40,820 nautical miles, and that's 27,464 kilometers. The question is, why 60 nautical miles? To find the answer, we have to read between the lines, and it says 60 miles to the degree. It means for each degree is in reality 60 nautical miles. Scientifically and practically correct. Navigate from Sydney, Australia to Santiago de Chile, we have to count the amount of degrees between Sydney and Santiago de Chile. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 8 times 15 degrees. Each longitude line is 15 degrees plus 14 degrees. This is 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, because this is 1 degree. And on the other side it is 1, 2, 3.5, because the other way is 71.5. So we have to add 3.5 on this side and 14. That makes a total of 14 degrees plus 8 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus 3.5 degrees. You get the total amount of degrees. To circumnavigate from Sydney to Santiago, it's 14 degrees plus 8 times 15 degrees for the nautical miles plus 3.5 degrees to reach Santiago. That makes a total of 137.5 degrees. 137.5 degrees multiplied by 60 nautical miles, that makes a total of 8,250 nautical miles. That's 15,279 kilometers. These are the distances I calculated from using the GLEASON'S map from Sydney to Santiago, from Sydney to the North Pole, and from North Pole to Santiago. This is the distance I calculated to circumnavigate Sydney to Santiago. And if you in a straight line, this is a flat plane, the distance will be shorter than 8,250 nautical miles. These measurements are based on the GLEASON'S map. I showed you how to measure distances using the GLEASON'S map. You can measure latitudes, longitudes, but you cannot measure in a straight line. Of course, you can fly straight to Chile, but you cannot measure a straight line. You cannot, because the GLEASON'S map is not scaled that way. It's a different ratio. You can only measure using the longitude or the latitude lines. And like I said before, this is not a scale to measure from one place to another. This is an 1892 conversion. By using this, I calculated a direct flight from Sydney to Santiago in a straight line. At this moment, I'm just showing you the calculations, and in my later video I will explain it, because you won't be able to understand it at this moment. Some global believers think when you fly from Sydney to Chile, you fly like this. In reality, you fly like this. But if you believe you fly like this, whatever makes you happy, as long it's a safe flight. Ashmal done. I hope I answered your question. Thanks for watching.